words cannot express how much I hate the overall trend of discipline. It drives me nuts, and it completely lacks context in so many different ways. And it's a default response for everything. And oh my God, there's so many different rabbit holes that I want to go down with this. Okay, so first off, discipline in itself is a default response for pretty much everything, and most especially in the context of I lack motivation on top of being depressed. So speaking of depression, every time I've been through severe depression 3 times now in my 36 years of existence, I never once asked myself, how can I be more disciplined today? What should I do to be more disciplined today? So discipline in itself, the mere concept of it is forcing yourself to do X, Y, Z, especially when you don't feel like doing it. Okay, so let's say about and every time that, especially on social media and Facebook, when I see someone reach out to ask or to say that I lack discipline, what should I do? And 99.9% of the 5,000 responses say, discipline, bro. To then get 9,000 likes and comments and say, yeah, discipline, bro. And I straight up think to this day that the majority of people that are saying discipline are literally just repeating what they heard 100 times elsewhere and to repeat the trend because it sounds cool and it's what the popular kids are doing these days without actually understanding what the fuck they're saying in the first place. Oh my Jesus Christ. Okay, so speaking of when I was depressed and lacked motivation, just maybe a week ago, I did not ask myself, how can I stay disciplined today? What can I do to be disciplined today to get motivation? Instead, I went to the root cause of it in my head to figure out why I was depressed and why I lacked motivation in the first place, which is something that people that lack motivation don't ever do because that requires work, right? And so discipline itself, once again, is the act of forcing yourself to do things that you don't want to do. And I personally think that it stemmed from people that lack motivation and are lazy and don't want to actually put in the work to figure out why they lack motivation, why they're depressed in the first place, to then resort to just doing things out of discipline to make themselves feel like they're actually doing work, when in reality they're not accomplishing fucking anything because they don't understand what they're doing in the first place, nor do they understand what they're trying to accomplish in the first place as a result of that in the first place. Yeah, so my personal favorites when it comes to discipline of when people say I like motivation, okay, in the context of the gym, when people say I like motivation to work out, how do I get motivated to work out? And the common response is discipline. So and from here, what people do is they wake up super early, like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, to go work out at the gym for upwards of 2 hours, and then on top of two, and you can't forget to snort, just to freaking snort 3 scoops of pre-workout and have deafening loud music that blows out your fucking eardrums in the process, and then go work out for 2 hours, and then go crash afterwards, to then continue hating and to keep hating your life of misery and defeat. Oh, and by the way, and now as a result of going to the gym, you've now depleted all of your energy resources that you had in the first place. So now you are drained, exhausted, and still defeated, and still miserable, and still depressed. And yes, you might have released some endorphins for about 45 minutes to temporarily feel good in the process from discipline and going to the gym to work out because of discipline. And now you crashed and now you have no energy, no motivation to do anything anymore because the pre-workouts and the music and the endorphins have now worn off. And now you're back to being miserable, exhausted, and defeated and depressed because you never actually addressed the problem in the first place, okay, so let's talk about that. So when it comes to lack of motivation and depression, more often than not, from a guy's point of view, it's because you lack clarity on what it is that you want to do in the first place. Okay. And now, going back to myself, in the last 3 times I've been through severe depression, every single time it's because I lack purpose, I lack clarity of what it is that I wanted, and I lack clarity on what it is that I needed to do to get there. And then after doing, and from there, after taking the time to get clarity on those things and to really think about those items and to take the time and the effort to put some serious thought into that stuff to then create a plan to do that. That's why I was able to climb myself out of depression and attack life. And recently, when I was depressed and lack of motivation, once again, it was because I lacked clarity on the overall bigger picture, and I lost focus on the bigger picture on what it is that I want to achieve. And from there, in the event, I would have followed the common freaking trend advice of discipline to wake up super early to go work out. I would have put myself in that same situation of depleted all of my energy to have a temporary lapse of endorphins and all that stuff, and then to crash once again and to be right back to where I started in the first place. So let's break that down. Okay, so people who wake up miserable, exhausted, and defeated and depressed, okay, you only have a limited amount of energy and bandwidth to work with in the first place. Now, in the event you choose discipline to go work out, you are essentially running away from the problem itself to go chase endorphins and adrenaline and a temporary dopamine release in efforts to feel good temporarily, to go to the gym to then deplete all of those things. And then 2 hours later, you're now back to square one of being exhausted, miserable, defeated, depressed, and burnt out. And then do that for 6 more months, and it gets even worse. In reality, what you're doing, once again, is you are avoiding the problem in the first place of not actually taking the time to figure out why you lack motivation, why you were depressed in the first place. In this case, you were using the gym as an escape from your life because you wake up tired, miserable, exhausted, and defeated without actually taking the time to figure out why that's the case. What is stressing you out? What is keeping you miserable, exhausted, depressed, unmotivated in the first place? Is it your job? Is it a relationship? Is it the people that you hang out with? Is it your life in general? Is it because of your bank? Is it because of your bank account? Is it because the field that you're in just drives you nuts and it doesn't give you fulfillment? Is it the job itself that drives you nuts, that stresses you out because of the person that you work for, the people that you work with? It's a relationship that you're with because the people that you're with, maybe it's a romantic relationship, your girlfriend or your wife, stress you the fuck out. Until you take the time to figure out what exactly it is that is stressing you out, that's giving you lack of motivation, that's keeping you depressed, miserable, exhausted, and defeated, you're going to be chasing your tail the entire time, especially when you are going to the gym for 2 hours per day for mental health purposes, to release the endorphins, to stay disciplined. And it gets better. So the amount of hate I've got on this topic, it amuses me every time. Because how dare I address mental health issues, and how dare I have a different approach to helping men improve themselves, to actually take the time to put in the effort, to put in the work, to think about what it truly is that they want to do. Instead, people can just resort to discipline and mental health and go work out because the gym is my happy place. And once again, I've seen this more times than I can count as well. The amount of guys out there that the gym is their happy place. So literally, out of the 24 hours in a day, and let's assume eight of those hours are sleep, right? So you now have 24 minus 8, 16, okay? 16 hours in the actual physical day. You're telling me that out of those 16 hours of the day, only 2 of those hours are you actually happy in the gym. So what you're saying is the remaining 16 hours a day between your 9 to 5 job, between the relationship that you're in or you're not in, or the people that you associate with, or whatever it is that you do before, during, or after work, that the only time that you're happy in that 18 in that six correction in that 16-hour day outside of 8 hours of sleep is when you're at the gym. That is a problem. And until you get clarity and figure out what it is what it is about your life, whether it's relationships, the job itself, your life itself, the field that you're in or the field that you're not in, what is it about, or maybe your life lacks fulfillment, whatever it is, until you figure out what's going on with that life and to solve that problem, you will never be happy, and you will continue living life miserable, exhausted, defeated, depressed, and burnt out until your last breath. And from there, you can follow all the discipline in the world that you want. You can take all of the cold plunges in the world that you want. You can spend all day doing nothing. And that reminds me too. And the trend from like 2024 and 23 or whatever of cold plunging and all that stuff, I legit think it's because people would rather actually. So I think that is a form of feeling like you're doing work and accomplishing things, and to say I did it and to be a box checker. I think that was a form of doing that because, once again, putting in the time and the effort and the work to figure out what is it that you want to do, what gives you fulfillment, and what you desire most in life. I think doing that itself, I think, required too much work, and that people would rather spend their entire day feeling like they're accomplishing something with work and avoiding that problem altogether, to just do shit throughout the day through discipline to force themselves to stay busy and active, but not actually accomplishing anything in the process that's actually helping them progress and prove themselves, because taking the time and the efforts and the work to figure out what it is that they want to do, what gives them fulfillment, and what they actually enjoy doing, that requires too much work, to instead follow the discipline trend of forcing yourself to do shit, to be a box checker, and then to go online on social media and to say, look at me, I woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning to get my 3 hour workout in, and I accomplished X, Y, Z. Look at me. And then hoping to get likes and views and comments to say, yeah, good job, bro, from all of the discipline bros. Yeah, good job, bro. Stay disciplined. Go hard. Yeah, stay hard, bro. When in reality, a year from now, you're gonna look at yourself in the mirror and say, what did I accomplish this year? Fuck, nothing. But I stayed really disciplined this year. I stayed really disciplined every day. I woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning every day, and I stayed disciplined, and I worked out. But what did I actually accomplish? Fuck, nothing. Shit. Let's do it again and stay disciplined, and to get more likes and comments and views from my discipline bros, because I stayed disciplined and I worked out super early. Go me. Jesus Christ, gentlemen. This is the cycle that I've seen for the last 2 years, and it drives me fucking nuts. And once again, I straight up think that people that preach discipline, that motivation is garbage and stay disciplined because discipline is reliable, I straight up think that they are merely just preaching the shit that they've heard 1,000 times from elsewhere, and then to repeat that to be on the discipline train because that's what the cool kids are doing, and to stay disciplined. And my thought, so on top of that too, like the whole motivation thing is garbage. I could not disagree more with that. Again, I think it's because taking the time and the effort to put in the work to actually think about what it is that you want, what gives you fulfillment, and what do you have to do, and what is required of you to get there. I think doing that alone requires too much work, and for me, that is what gives me all kinds of motivation to get after it and absolutely freaking crush it. And I think the fact that people just don't take the time and the effort to do that, to figure out what motivates them to, once again, to do what is required to actually achieve what it is that they desire. And instead, do stupid shit, forcing yourself to do things that make zero sense, but to be able to say, I did it, and to check it off the box because you're doing work, but you're not actually doing work that's helping you progress towards your specific goals because you never took the time to actually figure out what is it that you want to accomplish in the first place. I think people lack motivation because they never took the time to figure out what is that they want, and they never they never did that because they don't know what they want. Fucking Christ. We lack motivation because we don't know what we want in the first place because we're spending so much fucking time doing stupid shit all day because of discipline and chasing our tail all day long, doing things to make it feel like we're doing actual work to avoid the problem in the first place that's making us unmotivated, depressed, miserable, exhausted, defeated, and burnt out. But you're right. It's because of. But you're right. But you're right. Motivation is garbage, right? And yes, taking the time to figure out what makes you happy, what motivates you and excites you, that's garbage, and that's not reliable whatsoever, according to the discipline gurus out there. That taking the time to figure out what makes you happy, what gives you fulfillment, what you enjoy doing, and what makes you happy, like what gets you out of bed with a smile to actually crush the day. Taking the time to figure that out is not reliable, according to the disciplined fucking gurus out there. You're right. And yet today, with all of this information out there, with all this discipline out there in the world, mental health and depression, burnout, and lack of motivation had never been higher in the history of mankind. So if discipline works so well, why do you have to force yourself to do it, especially when you don't feel like doing it? Riddle me that one. If discipline is so reliable and works so well, why do you have to force yourself to do that shit, especially when you don't want to do it in the first place? Instead, so you figure out what it is that you want and what you have to do to get there and who you have to become to get there, to then wake up excited to freaking crush it because you actually want to do it through motivation. But that path is garbage, according to the discipline gurus. That path isn't reliable. But yet it's what I've been using for the past 3 years, and I literally have more energy, more natural energy that I know what to do with than what most people have on shitloads of coffee, caffeine, energy drinks, and pre-workout all day long. But you're right. That method is not reliable, and you should just focus on discipline instead, to force yourself to do shit that you don't want to do, that's keeping you exhausted, miserable, drained, and exhausted and defeated, to then wake up 6 months from now and burnt out because you're not seeing the results that you want in the first place because you never took the time to figure out what it is that you want in the first place. Instead you just wake up going in blind and forcing yourself to do shit that makes zero fucking sense because you never actually took the clarity to figure out a logical approach to it, to then go down the goddamn discipline route because discipline and check the box, say I did it, and look at me saying discipline for the next 6 months. Yeah, likes, comments, views, cool, good job, bro. Jesus fucking Christ. I fucking hate the discipline trend. It drives me fucking nuts. It drives me fucking nuts, gentlemen. Oh my God. If you want a much better, far more effective approach to life, figure out what it is that you want to do. What gives you fulfillment? What puts a smile on your face? What makes you happy and excited just thinking about it? To then figure out, how do I get there? Who do I need to become to get there? And what is it that I need to do from a daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly action steps to achieve that target? It's that simple. This drives me nuts. Oh my God. Instead, so for example, with the gym, I'm trying to figure out how to word this. So I kind of already hinted on this earlier in this video, but when it comes to the gym, okay, so when it comes to physical progress and results from the gym in the context of skinny guys, They're trying to get bigger and stronger. Okay. In the event that you are not seeing results after, let's say, 6 months, odds are it's because your workout program is flawed. You're not tracking protein or calories to get enough fuel in for growth in the first place, and or you're not prioritizing growth protocols enough to grow from the workouts itself, assuming that the workouts themselves are actually effective enough to create a growth response in the first place. Okay. And now, in the event, okay, so let's say that you work out and you eat food or whatever, and over time you get depressed and lack motivation because you're not seeing results. And then you go out and ask and say, how do I get motivated to go work out? It's, oh, sweet Jesus. And this is where the cycle, and this is where it starts. People say, stay disciplined, bro. Stay disciplined. Get after it. Discipline this and fuck motivation. Get discipline that. So essentially now you are forcing yourself to go to the gym, probably wake up even earlier to go to the gym, to work out even longer, to keep following a flawed workout program while also probably not getting enough fuel for growth in the first place, to continue doing something that's not working altogether, and then to keep not seeing results because something and the program that you're following is flawed, especially for your genetics, metabolism, and lifestyle. And then 6 months later, once again, or a year later at this point, I'm not seeing results. I lack motivation. And then the same people will keep saying, stay disciplined, results take time. But in the reality of you're following a flawed workout program and you're not tracking food or protein or calories to actually get enough growth and to see results in the first place, you're spending all of this time following the disciplined route to work harder, to work out more, to wake up even earlier, to work out longer, to keep following the same broken steps in the first place that are keeping you from getting results, to then force yourself to keep showing up with that because of the discipline fucking trend and the discipline fucking bandwagon and the crowd of work out even earlier. Oh God. To then start looking into testosterone boosters and TRT, and to work out twice a day, and to sacrifice sleep, and that's just the results portion of when it comes to discipline for skinny guys and working out and stuff like that. And now when it comes to mental health, which I've kind of already touched on earlier, that once again, we only have a limited amount of bandwidth and energy to work with, especially if you're not giving yourself enough fuel from good quality sources of fuel in the first place. On top of getting enough quality sleep to reset your brain and your mind and your nervous system and your neurology system to be able to think clearly. So now, okay, so on top of there's something or on top of something or more than one thing in your life that stresses you out, that you hate, that drives you nuts, that keeps you drained, exhausted, and stressed out, and depressed, and lack of motivation, and defeated. So instead of taking the time to address all of those things, we listen to the disciplined crowd that says wake up super early to work out. Okay, so instead of addressing all these things in our life that are stressing us out and are keeping us unmotivated, we are now going to listen to the disciplined crowd to wake up super early to go work out. Okay, so we are now going to the gym when we already lack sleep. Okay. Actually, to go even deeper with this, we're now setting an alarm to wake up to disrupt our sleep cycles that we're probably already not getting enough of in the first place. So now we're going into the gym with lack of sleep and lack of growth and recovery to then take stimulus pre-workout to get us all fired up and jittery, to give us the energy that we lack from recovery and growth protocols in the first place, to then go to the gym to work out without having a clue of what we're doing in the first place, without understanding why we are there in the first place, without without even having an understanding of what we were trying to achieve from the gym in the first place. Okay. So now we have, so now we're at the gym and we've released some endorphins and we've worked out, and maybe best case scenario, we got a nice pump from the gym. Okay. So, and now we spent anywhere from 1 to 2 hours at the gym to work out without having any idea of what we're doing, what we're trying to accomplish, or what the whole purpose of this is in the first place. Okay. And now, after the pre-workout has wore off, the endorphins have wore off, and the music is now gone. Okay. A few hours later, we are now back to square one of we lack motivation. We lack motivation. We're back to being depressed. We're back to being miserable, exhausted, and defeated. Oh, and now it gets better because now we now exerted the limited energy that we had in the first place in the gym to go work out without actually understanding why we were working out in the first place. So now we have no energy to work with at all, and we've now just depleted our entire bandwidth and energy reserves that we had in our brain that we could have otherwise used to think and to get clarity on what it is that we want in the first place and what it is that makes us happy in the first place. On top of that, to go deeper with that, to take the time to figure out what is it about our lives that's giving us stress, depression, and mental health issues in the first place. So we lack energy to figure out what it is that we want. What the hell is happening? Looks like you. So we lack energy to figure out. So we now lack energy to figure out what it is that we want. And we also lack energy to figure out and to investigate why we are depressed, miserable, exhausted, and stressed out, and defeated in the first place. Okay, so now it's roughly noon or anywhere from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Okay, so now we were now down. So the gym is now over, and now we go to our 9 to 5 job where we have zero energy, we have a terrible attitude, a terrible mood, and we drive everyone nuts and we bring everyone down with us. Cool. So let's say that we survive the 9 to 5 job. Cool. Now we get home and we're like, shit. And now we are on our time to then realize, oh shit. And now I still have zero energy to work with. I have no desire to do anything. I'm miserable, I'm depressed, burnt out, and defeated at this point. So now I'm going to resort to probably playing video games or binge watching Netflix while eating fast food or some type of shit food that makes us feel good in the moment. And then, do you see where I'm going with this? Okay. So instead of taking the time and using the limited energy and bandwidth that we have in the first place to figure out what it is about our life that's making us unmotivated, depressed, burnt out, defeated, and stressed out, we are simply, instead of doing that, and then on top of figuring that out, and then step 2 to figure out what makes us happy. So here's the life that we hate. Instead of figuring out this life of what we hate, to then figure out what it is that makes us happy, that gives us a fulfillment. What is that gives us a smile on our face? What is it that we want to do in this life to actually wake up excited, happy, and cheerful, and to just enjoy life? The why versus the what, or correction, the what versus the why. Okay. Instead of taking the time and energy and effort to figure out those two things, we are instead resorting to the discipline route of just forcing yourself to do shit for the sake of doing shit, to depleting all of our energy reserves up here, to feel like we're actually getting work done, when in reality, we were just escaping both of these issues. We were running away from these issues for the temporary fix and release of endorphins and adrenaline and dopamine with the gym and our happy place, through the vehicle of discipline, and you keep repeating the same goddamn cycle every single day, week, month, quarter, year, until eternity. That is the route that discipline is doing. And it remains a mystery why mental health, depression, and lack of everything is skyrocketed through the goddamn roof right now. It remains a mystery. Crazy, I know. This is why discipline drives me nuts. It's literally used as a crutch and a scapegoat to escape the life that we hate and to avoid taking the time to figure out what it is that we actually want to do. And it's running away from both of those things to force ourselves to do work that's not actually giving us fulfillment or helping us progress towards what we actually want to do in the first place. Instead, it is helping us chase that dopamine and endorphin hit to temporarily feel good in the moment, to continue running away from the overall problem in itself because of discipline. Oh my God. Oh my God. And discipline in itself, as David Goggins, well, correction, burnout in itself, I think David Goggins has said this perfectly. Burnout occurs when you lose sight of the overall bigger picture. And now, to go deeper with that, if we never took the time and the effort and the work to figure out what that bigger picture is over here, and going deeper to figure out why we are depressed, unmotivated, and lack energy in the first place, to then figure out how to change that from changing our lifestyle with this guy. We spent all day with pre-workouts in the gym and antidepressants and shit like that to essentially avoid addressing these two guys altogether, and then running away from these guys for the next month, year, decade, to instead chase this route of discipline in the gym and work out because discipline, and that's where we are today with that's what I think of every time someone says stay disciplined, when someone reaches out to say how do I get motivated, and when someone says discipline, that's what I think of every time that I see that response and that question. More so, that response is that we are avoiding taking the time, energy, and efforts and work to figure this part out. And instead, we are avoiding this part and to jump right into discipline to force ourselves to do shit for the temporary release and gratification of endorphins and adrenaline and dopamine. Because, yes. Oh my God. So moral of the story, gentlemen, is this. If you want to change your life for the greater good, to actually wake up excited, motivated, with a smile on your face, and just be grateful to wake up on your path of progression to become your best and strongest self, to make your future self proud. Do yourself and your future self a huge favor and assess those two guys that we talked about earlier. That, oh my God, in the event that you lack motivation, have some degree of depression going on, and are just not happy with your life, to figure out, so step one, to figure out what is it that stresses you out, what is it that does not give you fulfillment and that drives you nuts. Either maybe your 9-to-5 job, maybe your environment, maybe the field that you're in, maybe some type of a romantic relationship that you have, or lack of relationship that you have, whatever the case is. Something in your life and your environment is stressing you out, not giving you fulfillment and keeping you unmotivated and depressed. Okay. To figure that part out, is to take the time and effort to understand what is it about your life that you're doing or not doing that is that is um that is giving you a lack of motivation and making you depressed, exhausted, miserable, and defeated. To figure that out, and then to take the time and effort and put in the work to figure out what is it that makes you happy. What is a future version of yourself that gives you a big freaking smile just thinking about, and to figure out what is that life, what does that life involve, what do I need to do to accomplish that, and who do I need to become to achieve that. Okay. To put those two things together, to assess why am I stressed out in the first place, to then assess how do I achieve a life that I absolutely love going into every single day. Put those two together, and I promise you, your life will be changed for the greater good. And I cannot wait for you to experience that. Instead, while everyone else is going down the fucking discipline route to wake up super early for no fucking reason, to work out without understanding what the fuck we're doing in the first place, to sacrifice sleep and energy levels to do shit that we don't even understand in the first place. Enough said. I'm not going down that rabbit hole again. Oh my god, it drives me fucking nuts. It's giving me just thinking about it. Anyway, so in fact, actually, to branch out with that too, the amount of days where either in the morning or whatever the case is. So solely for example, there's been plenty of days where, such as this morning, where I will naturally wake up and just lay there in bed and to just think about life and to just think about just let my mind roam, right? In the event, so I don't always have a plan every day of what I want to do that day. There's days where I'm just feeling lazy and I'm just gonna go with the flow of whatever comes up today. Just relax, to chill, and to just do well. I will end up doing something that helps me progress towards my goals, towards my future vision for myself. But in the event I either have a plan of action or some type of idea of what I want to do, I will still I will still just lay there for a few moments and to just establish what is the overall objective for the day. Is there a better way for me to approach this, a more effective way for me to approach this? And then I will just let my mind roam for a few moments to essentially work smarter and to create a plan of action for myself for that day. And then when I have a good understanding of what it is that I want to do, that's when I will get out of bed and just get after it with a logical plan, with clarity, direction, and go from there. Instead of blindly just setting an alarm at 3 o'clock in the morning to disrupt sleep cycles and to wake up half asleep and then snort a bunch of stimulus pre-workouts and force myself to go to the gym for 2 hours and to exert all energy reserves I had to go work out and then get done and be completely drained, exhausted, miserable, and defeated because because my sleep sucked, and then drain all of my energy reserves I had on demand to go to the gym to work out for no fucking reason that I could have otherwise used to think and to come up with a plan to work smarter and to actually have energy and a better mood and a better attitude going into the day and to actually accomplish something worthwhile throughout the during the day and to change lives and to essentially become a productive member of society for that day instead of the discipline route of Jesus. Oh my fucking God. I fucking hate discipline. It drives me nuts. So that's personally what I do is I will just lay in bed for a brief moment, let my mind roam and to come up with a plan that's effective with clarity to figure out what the overall objective of the day is, of what my action steps are for that day, and then go attack it with energy, focus, clarity, a plan, and a solid direction to follow with that. Instead of the alternative, which makes absolutely zero fucking sense because and doing that because of discipline, because that's what because that's what the cool kids and the gurus are doing. Awesome fucking plan of action. Anyway, yeah. So I'm just I'm at a loss of words right now with how stupid that fucking approach is with discipline. And yes, discipline in itself in the early stages of is still better than doing absolutely nothing all day when you are in that stage of mental health. But pretty much any other stage of mental health and overall life in general, having a plan of action with clarity on what it is that you want to do and who you have to become and what you have to do to achieve your desired results and to impress your future self, it's a far, far, far more effective approach and also actually motivating, like very motivating compared to the fucking discipline route that forces you to do stupid shit without any logical reason behind it other than discipline and to make you feel like you're doing work when in reality you're just chasing your fucking tail and exhausting yourself and using all of your limited resources for stupid shit that makes zero sense instead of using your limited resources to have a plan of action with logic and clarity and to go at it from there. So that's my spiel. Figure out what it is that you first of all figure out step one, figure out what is stressing you out in life and attack that. Step two, figure out what gives you a smile just thinking about it for your future self. And step three, seek advice from people that already have what you want and to get a plan of action, to get clarity and direction to achieve that life. Boom, done. You're welcome. You can thank me later. That's all I got for this video. Before I keep going on the same rant and with discipline and yeah, and closure, wake up with purpose, execute with passion, and make your future self proud. That's all I got for you. Until next time, JB out.